And we are back with our second conversation for this morning. If you're joining us right now, we are getting into another event that is celebrated on the 19th around the world. But, you know, we have Settlement Day here in Belize, and so we more gravitate towards that. And so we wanted to share with our audience today the other event, which is International Men's Day. And I say international because it is a date that is celebrated worldwide and in Belize. So we have the folks in here to talk to us all about it. Joining us in studio, we have Mr. Arthur Usher, who is the manager of the Hub Resource and Community Center right here in the middle. Good morning. And to my right, we have Mr. Onando St. Bernard, who is the counseling coordinator at the Community Counseling Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
And lastly, we have on my left here, Lanny Mendez, the M&E and Resource Mobilization Officer at NCFC. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
International Men's Day is tomorrow, November 19th. And primarily, we usually hear all about Women's Week, Women's Day, Women's this, and we know that there is a day for International Men's Day. We just never really have a conversation around it. What is the message that your team at NCFC and of course your team at the community center is trying to discuss, or you're trying to portray to the wider audience at home surrounding International Men's Day? So I'll start with you, Mr. Arthur.
Right. So as a main focus of the National Parenting Task Force, it is our mandate to look at the holistic view of the family and how that can be strengthened in any way. And so from that perspective, we recognize that the male role has been diminished a bit within the family structure. And so we have to look at how we can develop and build that. One of these ways is through programming, it's through resources being assessed, but at the same time, you also need to recognize the empowerment aspect. Understand that men also do need support. Understand that men do need, yes, you're doing a good job. Understand that it comes from a place of national and international support. If we want to have a better society and have better opportunities for everybody, then we have to make sure we have a level enough playing field. You see,
I was just going to say, just to stick a pin there, you raised up a point about men needing support, and I think that's a critical point, because oftentimes we say, oh, you're a man, you could do it, you're strong enough, and but my question is, do you generally find that men accept or receive this type of support that they need? Because even as men, because of traditionally how we've been raised, we tend to think that, oh, I could do it, and I will shun off that level of support. Do you find that men accept support?
Yeah, that's a good question. And support and all these resources go both ways. Right? You can offer it, but you also have to accept. And so the acceptance, as you mentioned, is a bit slow right now because of the traditional viewpoints, right? So I'm a man, yes, I can do it, I don't need to go for help. And going for help can be misconstrued as being weak. And so we have to look at all these dynamics. The International Men's Day brings across our 6 pillars that we speak about men's health. We speak about being the best man you possibly can for the community. And so all of these aspects are also determined by your strength and empowerment. You can't be a better man if you yourself are not strong enough.
What is the societal misconception, right? Because you said we want to level the playing field. But, and this is just coming, yes, it's coming from a bias point of me being a woman, that we do live in a very patriarchal society. We do live in a very male-dominated society. And when I mean that, I just mean that regardless of anything, men are seeing the ones calling the shots. So then, what is the primary objective of your team to talk about International Men's Day?
So as the motto says, we're recognizing Belize men and boys, which is basically giving credence to what Belize men and boys have done.
Okay.
And this is for this year. Obviously, next year we have another team and these kinds of things. But recognizing efforts in any one person, male or female, does not detach from the other gender.
Right.
Right. And so just giving credence to what men and boys have done, I think is a plus. It's a step in the right direction, right? And building self-esteem and building empowerment. So I think that's important.
If I can add to it as well, I think it's important to highlight to that that it's not just about who's at the top, but you have to remember who's at the bottom as well. Men are more likely to be involved in violent crimes. Men are underrepresented in tertiary level education, right? So it's important to not only recognize at the top, but know that men are significantly hindered at the bottom as well. So I think that's one important thing that we need to establish with regards to International Men's Day.
Yeah, and I would imagine that because of the important role of men in the family, being perhaps in some homes that leader, it's important that men receive that support, because you play an important role. So you need to receive that support that allows you to play that role effectively. My question is, we have these bodies, a lot of bodies across the country that represent women. For example, the Women's Commission that advocates for women's issues. Why is it that there isn't a Men's Commission here in Belize in the same manner?
Well, I suppose that's the very reason why, we're trying to set up the Men's Commission, so that we can have that representation for men to provide the different services that men need. Another area to look at is mental health as well. Men are not very open with regards to talking about their emotions, their feelings, how they're doing, and we all know that men are not working or operating at 100% all the time. And so then we need to have the discussions. We need to be open enough for men to be able to open up and say what they have to say without feeling that they're going to be weak or they're going to be judged, so that, like you're saying, they can get that support. They can be these strong role models in society for their children, for the community, and so forth.
Have you noticed that we're progressing a little bit better in terms of having this open dialogue about what men need in terms of sharing emotional support, feelings, and so forth? And I ask that because I think that we do this to ourselves as society. There is no rule book that says the man has to be this way or the woman has to be this way. We kind of sort of just do it. So are you seeing any hints of progress in that area where men feel like there are more spaces that they feel they're safe and comfortable to open up within these dialogues?
Well, I think it's important for us to what one of the tasks of International Men's Day is trying to do is trying to get an understanding of these exact questions that you're asking, and that is why the Men's Forum has created a survey. Right, we have created a survey that we're pushing for this International Men's Day, that seek to ask these very questions, that seek to try to identify what exactly is it that men are feeling, how are they feeling it, why are they feeling it. And I think this is where Mr. St. Bernard's strength comes in, because he's leading the charge on the questionnaire itself.
What are the, for those questions being asked, what are the target communities? Well, I know that the gender is men. What are the target communities? Is it Belize City,
rural
men,
areas?
Rural areas?
It's the entire country, because we want to represent all men in the nation. So the questionnaire, it's 42 questions.
Okay.
It's quite ambitious.
Yeah.
Being 42 questions. But you know, so it's twofold, because at the end of the day, we understand that we're not here to impose anything on anyone. We want to get that buy-in from men. And so the two parts of the questionnaire, it's one, to basically understand if the country wants a men's commission, and that would lend support to legislation being developed. And the second aspect of it is looking at, yes, as he had mentioned, the different aspects of men, because I'm hoping that you and the other men here will, you know, fill out the question, the survey.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that when you look at it, you're going to probably self-reflect on some of these questions, because probably nobody has ever asked you these questions before, thinking that, oh, you're supposed to have it together, you should know what's going on with yourself, and so on and so forth. But how many of us are in tune with when it comes to, you know, seeing a doctor? Do we do annual checkups? Is it easy for us to talk to our doctors? So the questionnaire breaks down, it's broken down into demographics, and then it looks at what are the different services that are provided for men. So we want to know who are the partners, who are the people that we could partner with when the Men's Commission is set up. The other parts of it is the emotional well-being, your social well-being, spiritual well-being, your participation in the society. Do you vote? Do you spend time with your partner, your children? Do you spend time for yourself?
Yeah.
You know, all of these questions. Looking at the emotional aspects of it and the social aspects of it, do you have a social circle that you can interact with that is healthy? Or are you alone? Are you alone? And if you're alone, that means, you know, there may be some other mental health issues going on there. It's not good for anybody to be alone. Everybody needs to be able to socialize. So there are all these different questions, and the hope is that it's going to start this discussion, this great discussion amongst all of us.
When you look at issues of homelessness across Belize, at least from just your personal perspective, just taking a glance, it appears as if it's mostly men out in the streets, sleeping along the businesses and along the walkways. When you think about issues with drug addiction and alcohol abuse, yes, there are facilities for women, but most of these facilities are populated by men. When you look at the prison system, the largest population in the prison system is men. So just these three issues alone shows us an idea, gives us an idea that perhaps there has been some level of neglect over the last decade or more when it comes to men.
That's right.
Well, it was established, the day itself was established in the 90s, correct?
1999.
1989.
Yeah.
And do you then believe that with the evolution of more jobs, technologies, the education system shifting and so forth, that there has been some level of neglect? I don't want to continue using the word neglect, but
Why?
No, I don't want to continue using the word neglect, because in a sense of self-responsibility is also a key, and I do that for women as well. It's a sense of self-responsibility, where why don't you want to go to school? Why don't you want to work in jobs and spaces that are available to you? And I ask the question as to why, because when we talk about availability for certain things, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say that men do dominate most of these places. And so when it comes to mental health and emotional support, and of course crime, violence, drug addiction, and all of that stuff, where did that fall start to happen, and how are we able to then support and get them back onto, as you rightfully said, level the playing field?
That is a very loaded question, and it can be debated for months.
I would imagine.
Absolutely.
And it has been debated for months and years, and you know, there's been books written about it. But in terms of I guess the shorter answer, notwithstanding social norms and all these other things that we have to play upon in our daily lives as within the social field, we see a lot of these issues coming up every day. And it's reoccurring in the younger children because the older children, the dads teach them it's a
recycling of
cycle. And it's a lot to do with culture. And culture is spread not only from the men, right? So it's everybody saying that this is what you're supposed to be, right? And so it's everybody is telling you that a man does this, right? And so if I'm seeing that I am to be super macho at every action I take, and then I do not understand how to emotionally process other situations, then more than likely I will be in prison. More than likely I will get in a gang situation. If I'm told that the priority for me as a boy is not to go to school, but the priority for a girl is. And again, it's not to compete, it's just what we teach has to change. And so the dialogue is what we're hoping for, right? The change has to start from a place, right? And we have to stop this back and forth. And one of my main points with the Men's Commission and the International Men's Day, if you notice our pillars, we're not against women in any way.
That's
right.
I want to make that very clear.
No, I don't think
it is not a competition. It is not.
It's about us
it's
moving together.
Moving together as a nation, as a country, moving together as a world.
I think that establishing gender roles as a norm has allowed us to devolve as a society. So putting up the pillars of International Men's Day, valuing male role models, acknowledging the contributions of men and boys, improving male health, tackling discrimination and disadvantage, fostering positive gender relations, making the world a safer place for everyone.
That's right.
I really, really like that. So tomorrow is the date.
Correct.
What is your center focus? I know you're having the forum, but what else are you doing to continue to promote this day?
So it's important for us to actually get these pillars out. So what we're doing is we're doing a series of ads. They consist of different men that have contributed in Belize, whether they're recognizable or whether they're not that recognizable. They have still impacted somewhere or the other in the country of Belize, because we're recognizing Belizean men and boys. So we've created a series of ads that are going to be displayed on multiple media houses, and these ads seek to identify each pillar and connect in a way to each pillar. So it's about getting the message out there that there is an International Men's Day, but it's additionally to promote the survey, because in order for us to further, to make further decisions and to act effectively, we actually need to have the data to back it up, right? So it's important for men to go out there and for men to actually do this survey, because it's going to benefit them, right? It's going to benefit them.
There is and this is just the final note as we're wrapping up. There is this strange misconception, well, not misconception, for the small circle of women, we like to believe that men have a brotherhood, right? That you all, I'm just going based on what we talk about, right? Men have a brotherhood, my bro, we support each other, and bro code and all of these things, and as in compared to women, we kind of lack that. Is that true? Is that something that men do have a strong pull of? And I'd ask you to, Paul, of brotherhood that I think would help in this instance to continue to promote this day?
I do agree that there is a subconscious brotherhood, you know, like there is a connection amongst men, you know, like if we're talking and we have a common goal, you know, we'll all express the common goal and we'll all express it with a similar sentiment. So I believe that there is an underlying brotherhood.
Because I think that the nature of the conversation always gears to men are simple. You know, it's not complex, it's not complicated. And Mr. Arthurs keeps putting his head down, and I don't know if it's because my questions are very. I ask these questions because these are the conversations that everybody thinks and believes, and this is what we believe that men are and what they do.
Well,
and
I have to say that I personally think men are complex, you know, but we just don't express it the way maybe someone else may express it.
Yeah.
Men express it, men keep it in. Men keep it in, and we keep those complexities in ourselves, but it's important for us to actually express them, and it's important for us if we sense some form of mental distress, that it's important for us to actually go out and seek the help that's needed, because that's actually one of the pillars, you know.
All right, so gentlemen, I know this conversation could
I really wanted it to
and I'm
continue.
sure April has many more questions, but we do have to take a break, and so we want to thank you all for coming on and discussing this important topic with us. All the best with your celebrations and your continued efforts in your initiative. All right, so with that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we have Sahau
For breakfast.
on the menu.
Are you staying for breakfast?
You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned.